I'm Pastor Alan Jackson. We've had the privilege of partnering with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. It was an honor to stand with them. All of us are grieving Charlie's absence, but here's the reality. We have an assignment. We're not stopping. We're going to continue forward with what Charlie invested his life in. Now it's our turn to lead with faith. We're going to make an impact in this generation for the kingdom of God. We have some resources for you. You can go to alanjackson.com/Charlie. Together, we're going to make a difference in this generation.
Joining the program now is Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from the great state of Oklahoma. Senator, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, well, listen, I had to have you back on because you are in the know on this one. You're part of the committee here, Senate Armed Services Committee. That now, with Senator Wicker, news broke that he and the senator from Delaware, right? Rhode Island.
White House?
Jack Reed.
Yeah, Jack Reed. That's the one. Thank you. They have launched what they're calling and framing as a bipartisan inquiry into the strike on the narco-terrorist boat that has caused all the kerfuffle, which the New York Times now has rebutted the Washington Post original reporting that Secretary Hegseth somehow called for the second strike. That's not what happened. I needed to bring you on to help make sense of this. How did we get to this point where we're playing footsie with the Democrats to investigate Trump's cabinet?
Well, what happened is it wasn't an inquiry. It was actually an oversight. So what Senator Wicker, I actually had a conversation with him today and said, so what are we doing here? I mean, are we playing games? Do we think that Jack Reed is going to move into a bipartisan manner because he has not been bipartisan at all? I hate to say it because I'm not trying to give the guy any credit at all because he is on my, I'm using a Christmas term here. He is on my naughty list. That would be Mark Kelly.
Yes.
He and Mark Kelly has been more bipartisan on the Senate Armed Services Committee than Jack Reed has. And what Wicker said is, no, this has got blown out of proportion. This was simply an oversight. Like today, we had an oversight on a lot of accidents, an oversight hearing, a lot of accidents that's been happening on aircraft carriers on certain platforms. And he says that's all this is intended. This isn't to drag Secretary Hegseth up here. It's not to. We've already been briefed on the operation. This is just to make sure that Congress is basically still informed. Now, those were his words. This thing could morph, Andrew, into anything. I think it's a very slippery slope when we start down this road. If we start bringing in individuals, because we know that they are well within their authority. They, meaning the Secretary of War and President Trump, is well within their authority to prevent terrorist activities coming to our shores, and by hitting them in international water or hitting them in U.S. water, whatever takes place, they're within their authority to do that because they have been deemed a terrorist organization, and thank God someone's finally being proactive and killed them. And by the way, a recent poll just came out that was by I would say a bipartisan, if not left-leaning pollster company that said that 71% of America actually supports President Trump hitting these narco boats in international water.
Yeah, I just want to flag this because this is an email we got from one of our listeners at Freedom at Charlie Kirk, and send us more. How do you feel about this? And he just said he contacted Congressman Mike Turner's office because Mike Turner was questioning this, saying it could be an illegal strike on the House side. And he's saying, I don't know a single Republican who doesn't fully support Hegseth and the Pentagon on this. He says Republican voters are furious if that Republican leadership would work with Democrats to hamstring or damage Hegseth over this. So I think we need some perspective here. Our base definitely likes blowing up drug smugglers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's going after the bad guys, right? I mean, it's simple. Go after the bad guys. Why would we allow them to get on our shores and distribute their product when, if you look at the numbers, in 2024, we lost more Americans on our streets and then to drug overdoses than we did in the entire Vietnam War. So this is a not just a pandemic. This is a war that we're having. That's these narco boats and terrorist organizations. They don't care about the lives of our brothers and sisters and loved ones and friends. So why the heck are we playing this game? Does the Democrats think that these aren't drug boats? Do they think these aren't drug dealers? Do they think these drugs aren't coming to our shores? Do they think that the cartels aren't terrorist organizations? Or is it just the anti-Trump syndrome and the deranged Trump syndrome that's taking over the fact that anything President Trump does, they're going to object to? And what we got to be careful is some Republicans that we don't join their rhetoric.
And I want to remind people, what did so much damage to the first Trump administration? It was the Russiagate hoax. They come out with this, they make it sound extremely serious and super, super duper real. And we had a trifecta, just like this time, where we had Republican Senate, Republican House, and they allowed themselves to be dragged into this morass of investigation. Oh, we have to look at it. We have to make sure everything is fair. And that blew out the entire 2-year period. We had that trifecta for basically nothing. It was essentially, we self-sabotaged ourselves, and Democrats would love nothing more than to let us sabotage ourselves again on important policies, on the border, on migration, on internal security.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I just want to, this is a direct note to Senator Wicker and Congressman Turner. You are playing with fire here by playing footsie with the Democrats on this stuff. I hope that this is simply you guys checking a box and, moving on, and there's nothing to see here. But if this turns into what Blake just described as Trump 1.0 all over again, same playbook, your base is going to be livid. There will be political consequences for both of these gentlemen. And I just want to, these are the people that they're playing footsie with here, Senator. And I know you have to be collegial. This is the Senate. You guys are a big fraternity over there, and I actually respect that. I respect that.
I've never been a fraternity, brother. Ever.
No, I just respect that you gotta do it a different way. I can be a little bit more forceful, but these are the people you're playing footsie with here. 199. This is U.S. Senator Chris Murphy talking about Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth needs to resign, and if he doesn't resign, Donald Trump needs to fire him. He is a walking, talking national security embarrassment. He seems more interested in winning video pull-up contests than he does in protecting this nation. He's obsessed with the weight of his soldiers, the facial hair of his soldiers, not concerned with actually keeping the country safe.
But wait, there's more. Here's Senator Mark Kelly, and I want to get into this because this feels like a coordinated op. First, they give these 6 lawmakers come out with this video, ceding the ground. It comes out of nowhere, and then you get this WAPO story alleging a war crime against Secretary Hegseth, and that just was a convenient timed story from Washington Post, even though the New York Times has now rebutted it. It all feels way too convenient. And Mark Kelly's just going out on the media circuit here, Senator, keeps hitting the story again and again and again. Here he is, 200.
He's putting out on the internet turtles with rocket-propelled grenades. Have you seen this? This is the Secretary of Defense. This is not a serious person. He should have been fired after Signalgate.
All I'm going to remind everyone is we had Disney cartoons in World War II where Donald Duck fights Hitler.
Well, there you go. So it's fun.
Yeah, and we also had Disney cartoons in the Korean War. We also had them in the Vietnam War. By the way, we also had them in Desert Storm. It's just stupid. It's just, you got Murphy and you got Kelly that are jockeying for leadership inside the Democrat Party because there is no leadership. Hakeem Jeffrey is a joke. You got obviously Chuck Schumer, who is a joke, and so people are just moving around, and it's ridiculous. But we do, Andrew, have to be very careful on the way we move forward with this, which is why I wanted to talk to Senator Wicker this morning. And by the way, the White House is being very, very, very transparent. They've already briefed the committee on the ongoing narco boats that were blowing up. Plus, they've now offered to bring in legal papers, to which I think I'm getting a brief on in about an hour from now, that the White House is literally walking over the papers. Well, they're probably driving it and getting out and walking. They're delivering it in a seal bag. I've got to go down into a skiff, and they're going to read me in on everything that took place. and 27 members of Congress have already got read in, 27 senators, and I forget how many members in the House have got read into it. So it's not like the White House isn't being transparent here. They are being extremely transparent, and I can tell you what I've been briefed on this specific strike that the Democrats are losing their ever-loving mind on, plus on the ongoing operations. We are well within our authority. In fact, the American people and the Democrats should be proud, because it's not just the narco boats that they're taking out. They got a coordinated effort going on with DHS, with Secretary Kristi Noem, that are disrupting their drug rings and routes and distribution lines and money laundering inside the United States. So people want to look at just what ICE is doing, but while they're in these cities, these are heavily drug trafficked areas too. They're disrupting all of their infrastructure. So you have President Trump that has finally taken a full press approach to drugs, which the last president to do that, by the way, was Ronald Reagan. But Ronald Reagan really focused more on in Colombia, Central and South America. President Trump is going to the countries, going to the cartels, designating them as a terrorist organization, using our military and international waters, using our Coast Guard and U.S. waters, and then using law enforcement and disrupting them on both ends of the chain, from the distribution side to the delivery side, and then to where the finances come from. I mean, this should be, every American should be saying good on you, because there's not one of us, not one of your people listening to the show, none of the people that are helping produce the show, or you guys that doesn't know somebody that's been affected by this pandemic of drugs in our country right now.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we all probably have personal anecdotes that we could relate. And I just want to leave us with this final thought, that they so doubt in the military, saying you can disobey direct orders. And then they have this follow-up story suggesting war crimes at the highest level to say, look, see, we told you, you need to start disobeying the commander-in-chief. It's very, very serious, Senator. So I just want to make sure that we're all seeing it for what it is. This is a coordinated operation to, Eric Schmidt, one of your colleagues, is saying color revolution. This has a lot of the hallmarks of that.